whatever we have to improve the quality of life, whether it is, widening of roads or increasing the network of roads. Uh, while I was looking at the data, I don't know how many of you would know that what is the length of the roads that we manage in Jamshedpur in the leasehold areas. So it's about 500 to 600 kilometers of road. That's the kind of length. And we have been averaging about 4 to 5 kilometers per year in terms of widening, because there are obviously limited scope in Jamshedpur, but nevertheless we are doing that. Uh, in the last 5 years or last 3 years, because 2020 onwards, because of pandemic, a lot of things had changed, and it had gone slow. But nevertheless, whenever I look at the indicator of last 3 years, I'm quite happy and satisfied with the kind of progress we have made, whether it is creating water bodies. 450 million cubic feet of water capacity has been created in Jamshedpur in the last 3 to 5 years. 50 acres of land has been converted into water bodies. Uh, about 60 big and small parks have been created in the last 5 years, which is another 200 acres of land into green lung space, as I call. And very recently, we had about 13 to 14 acres converted into a biodiversity park at Kadma. One more forest trail is under the anvil, which should get opened out I think about a couple of months from now. So on the city side, idea of doing all this is to ensure that all of us who live here get a better quality of life. We were just at the hospital TMH for the cake cutting, and the GM was explaining the things which have, or telling us what all has been added in the last year or so in TMH. And happy to say that one new diabetic care center has been created and opened out in November, one new MRI machine, and he also rolled out the master plan in terms of what will happen to the infrastructure going forward, along with Manipal Tata Medical College, which has got set up. Uh, Something very interesting is the Executive Health Checkup Center, which, if all would remember, the Arogya Bhavan, that got converted into a contract workers executive or health checkup, then executive health checkup for our own officers and non-officers. And very shortly we will be, or TMH will announce the extension of health checkup packages for all citizens of Jamshedpur. And I think they are working on it, and that should also start very shortly. Having said that, I will end my welcome speech, so to speak.
Mr. T.V. Narendran, Mr. Chanakya Chaudhary, Vice President Corporate Services, and Dr. R.N. Sharma to kindly usher the
Can I give you? No, please. I'll give you only this one. Thank you. As one piece, and I'll give you only this one. Okay. Thank you so much.
For the members of the media, members of the industry associations and chambers, ladies and gentlemen, firstly, wish you all a very, very happy new year. Wish you and your families a very, very happy 2023, and thank you for your support in 2022. You know, I was yesterday in the works office lawn where we cut the cake for the Tata Steel employees,
and many of our seniors here were there. We talked about the fact that the last 3 years have been quite extraordinary. 2020 and 2021 because of COVID and the impact it had on all of us, professionally and personally, and also in the city of Jamshedpur, and that's where, let's say, TMH really played a fantastic role in dealing with the challenges of COVID, and I think, those were difficult times which we've come through. When we started this year, we were worried about Omicron because it had just started spreading, I think, in November or December of 2021. But luckily for us, it was not as bad as we had feared. Also because many of us were vaccinated twice, as well as subsequently we had the booster dose. So I think hopefully the worst of COVID is behind us, though COVID is still spreading in China, and there is a concern that will that lead to variants which can impact us. But more importantly, it has taught us how vulnerable all of us are, irrespective of how successful we are or how healthy we think we are. You can always be vulnerable to a virus, and I think it reminds us that we also have a responsibility to ourselves to keep ourselves in good health. While the hospitals and facilities can help us, but primary responsibility is with us. Tata Steel as an organization had a very challenging 2022. We had a bit of a roller coaster ride. Of course, we started the year well because the commodity prices were good, the demand was strong. But then the COVID impact of China was felt across the world because the economic activity in China dropped over the last 6-7 months. Also the impact of the war in Europe between Ukraine and Russia. In fact, that incident again reminded us that wherever you are in the world, you are vulnerable to what happens elsewhere. When COVID started, we all thought it's a problem in China. When Ukraine-Russia war started, we thought it was a problem in Europe. But somewhere, directly or indirectly, it impacts all of us. So as organizations, also we need to be more and more resilient. So Tata Steel had a record year last year financially. We had the highest ever profits, but very quickly we kind of saw the challenges of dealing with slowing economic growth and the impact of the war in Russia and Ukraine. But having said that, I think the employees of Tata Steel, as always, have shown resilience, and the company has shown resilience. The city of Jamshedpur is where it all began, so for us it's always a very special place, irrespective of the fact that today Tata Steel is in some sense as big outside Jamshedpur as it is in Jamshedpur, and continues to grow outside Jamshedpur because in Jamshedpur we are in the middle of a city, whereas in other places we have a little bit more room to expand. So, but Jamshedpur in many ways is a model town. I think it's a place many people refer to as an ideal city, a model city, because of the many things that is done here, and also the culture of the city. I think the city has come with a very generous culture, and I must compliment all of you because, as Chanakya said, there's only that much Tata Steel can do, but I think the communities have also played a very big role in keeping the city vibrant, and I would urge you to do so, continue to do so, because together we can do much more to the city than we've done in the past. From Tata Steel's point of view, we'll continue to invest in improving the quality of life in the city. As Chanakya said, whether it's a hospital, whether it is the greenery in the city, whether it is events that we've been having, I think we've continued to try and enrich the quality of life in the city. Even as we speak, you have a flower show going on, you have a dog show coming up, you have a carnival coming up. You have so many events, and we've had some fantastic golfing events, sporting events, and even in sports, the kind of facilities that have been created even for wall climbing and things like that are quite unique in the country, and it also creates opportunities for many of the youth in Jamshedpur. 2023, again, like in the previous year, I expect it to be a challenging year for different reasons, but I think India as an economy, as a country, is very well positioned. While we have had its own challenges post-COVID, I think urban India recovered faster than rural India. Rural India, I think there's been still the impact of COVID felt on household budgets. So you see that households are spending less than they were in the past, but I think even that is changing. If you look at the GST collections, and the collections for last month have just been announced, again it's more than 1.5 lakh crore. So in many indices, if you look at the number of people taking flights, if you look at the utilization of hotel rooms, in many indices, India looks like we are having a strong recovery. I think it's important for us to build on that. The government's focus on infrastructure is very good for industries like us, because investment in infrastructure means investment in construction, which is good for steel and many other industries because construction is a big force multiplier. So I think the focus on infrastructure augurs well as well. The other thing which is helping us in India is the fact that a number of companies across the world who have global supply chains and were dependent on China as a very critical source is now trying to de-risk China and develop an alternate source. Few years back when they started doing it, many of them went to Vietnam. But I think more recently, because of the PLI scheme and many of the incentives that the government has rolled out, I think more and more people are coming into India because it looks like an attractive place for them to invest in, because it's not just an opportunity to make in India, but it's also an opportunity to make in India for India, which is obviously a much larger market than many of the other countries who are presenting themselves as competition to India. But also you can make in India for the rest of the world. As well, not only Jamshedpur but everywhere in the country, because India, I mean, you have almost 1 million people passing out every month. That's 1 million job seekers. So you need more and more job creators if we have to really, take care of the aspirations of the youth who are passing out of our schools and colleges. So as a country, I think Tata Steel has always been a nation builder. We'll seize on this opportunity. Jamshedpur has always been a model city, and we hope that we will continue to preserve that and strengthen that. Thank you once again for your support in 2022, and look forward to that continued support in 2023, and all the best for 2023. Thank you.
सब रोड्स वही वाइडन हो रही हैं जहाँ पे ट्रैफिक फ्लो ज़्यादा है. अभी कुछ रोड्स कंप्लीट हो गई हैं और कुछ होनी बाकी हैं. तो यही रोड का हमारे ऊपर अभी प्लानिंग है. मास्टर प्लान में हम लोग ये भी देख रहे हैं कि कितने साल बाद मेन बिष्टपुर से फ्लाईओवर का ज़रूरत पड़ेगा, या कितने साल बाद जो हैवी ट्रैफिक है उसका फ्लो कैसे चेंज करेगा. उसका मास्टर्स प्लानिंग अभी चल रहा है. और उससे देखें व्हीकुलर ट्रैफिक का जो प्लांट के अंदर का है उसके बारे में हम नहीं बात करेंगे, क्योंकि टाटा स्टील उस पर साल भर साल हमेशा काम करता है. और जमशेदपुर का प्लांट इंडिया में बेंचमार्क प्लांट है कार्बन फुटप्रिंट के हिसाब से. जहाँ तक व्हीकल ट्रैफिक का है तो बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग चीज़ ये है कि जब पेंडेमिक हुआ था और पूरा ट्रैफिक फ्लो सबसे पहले बंद हुआ था, आपने देखा होगा वेव 1 में, तो दी मैक्सिमम पॉल्यूशन लोड केम डाउन दैट टाइम. तो उसका हम लोगों ने भी अपने एनवायरनमेंट टीम के साथ बात किया तो यही हुआ कि व्हीकुलर ट्रैफिक का जो है वो मैक्सिमम बाहर में जितना मूवमेंट है व्हीकल, नॉट हैवी ट्रैफिक, बट जैसे गाड़ी हम लोग चलाते हैं, स्कूटर चलाते हैं, उसका है. इसीलिए अभी हम लोगों ने इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स भी अपने फ्लीट में ऐड करना शुरू किया. आपने देखा होगा पिछले कुछ सालों में पावर चार्जिंग स्टेशंस भी लगाए गए हैं. और हम लोगों ने जो भी बनाते हैं ये व्हीकल्स, उनसे भी बात की है कि वो लोग आके यहाँ पे एक मेला टाइप फेयर करें, ताकि हम लोग सब, आप लोग, हम लोग मिल के अपने व्हीकल्स पर्सनल लेवल पे भी चेंज कर पाएँ.
सर मतलब वो है,
अब ये सरकार से आप पूछें तो बेटर है, वो आपको जवाब.
लुधियाना में एक मिनी स्टील प्लांट लगा रहा है, तो टाटा स्टील के लिए ये सब होगा. उसके अलावा हम लोग जो डिजिटल पे काम कर रहे हैं, अभी लास्ट ईयर जमशेदपुर को जो लाइट हाउस अवार्ड जो बोलता है वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमिक फोरम का, वो भी मिला है. सस्टेनेबिलिटी पर हम लोग बहुत काम कर रहे हैं. तो ये सब में हम काम करते रहेंगे. टाटा